Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Kendra Kobler. I'm your Moonshot host. And please, as I mentioned in the chat, introduce yourself. Let us know where you're dialing in from. And quick logistics, you have the option between speaker or gallery view. Sometimes it's great to see the whole bunch. And please keep yourself on mute when you're not speaking, just to be mindful of background noise. And I am going to share my screen now and kick us off. Da-da-da-da. So welcome to our February full moon celebration. Thank you for joining us today to bring our Wellness Moonshot mission to life. And that mission is a world free of preventable disease. And I know some of you enjoyed the quick recap we did last time. So just for those of you who might be new, the term moonshot originally came from President John F. Kennedy's ambitious goal to land a man on the moon in the 1960s. And since then, the term is still being used to set long-range goals with greater urgency. Even just this month, the cancer moonshot has been reignited by President Biden to reduce the death rate of cancer by 50% in the next 25 years. And coincidentally, one aspect of his plan is to prevent cancer in the first place. And to help make prevention a priority, the Global Wellness Institute aims to bring together the collective expertise, energies, and skills from global thought leaders to launch, grow, and shape this important movement, such as these notable wellness pioneers that we have here. You see Dr. Mike Roizen, Dr. Andrew Weil, Dr. Oz, Dr. Richard Carmona, to many, many more. And even in the past month, since January, we have seen tremendous growth. We've seen 118 new participants impacting over 100 million new individuals. So you'll see our February numbers here. And you can always check our current counter numbers on our Moonshot landing page. I can send the link in a bit. And we hope to continue this upward trajectory and hope to double these figures. This is our 2022 Moonshot goal, to hope to have 9,000 participants impacting 300 million worldwide. And to keep our goal top of mind each month, we are excited to have our monthly themes for both the 2022 calendar and the Children's Moonshot calendar, both designed by Jessica Jesse. And these topics inspire us to try new approaches to the wellness moonshot, such as storytelling, to spread the wellness word. In fact, Renee Moorfield, the author of our monthly content, is taking a new storytelling approach as she interviews influential wellness leaders each month. This month, she interviewed Dr. Richard Carmona, the 17th Surgeon General of the United States. And you saw him as part of the founding team of wellness pioneers that started the Wellness Moonshot, and he remains a vocal moonshot advocate. And one thing that really stood out to me from this interview is he remarked how reactive healthcare or curative wellness gets all this attention because there's drama when it comes to drama, or drama when it comes to trauma. Think emergency room surgeries and urgency. But perhaps we need to make prevention more appealing, maybe more sexy. And right here is where we can make the change. So, and as Dr. Carmona also shared, it's time to accept that we all have a role to play and accept that no story is too small. So before we jump into your stories, here to set the stage on how accept shapes our wellness leadership, I'd like to introduce Renee Moorfield. She is the CEO of WisdomWorks, a social enterprise that builds well-being driven leaders, brands, and workplaces globally. And she's on the board of the Global Wellness Institute. Over to you, Renee.
Thank you, Kendra. And always good to see everybody. Hello from the USA, from Colorado, and good morning to people, good afternoon, good evening, because I know we have people from all different time zones, and that's always exciting to see all these faces. It was great talking to Dr. Carmona about the definition of accept, and here's a few things that it made me think of in regards to accept, and a few things for maybe us to think about as far as our wellness leadership. The first way I think about accept is about really getting honest with our current circumstances. I know even in my own life, that's a life practice in and of itself, to just accept the current reality as it is without making it better than it is or worse than it is. And I can say in my own life, there are times when I get trapped by my own story about what is, and I make things worse than they are. But we can also make things better than they are and say things are more progress is happening than it really is, especially when we talk about wellness for all and a more inclusive approach to wellness. So that practice of us in our own wellness leadership, being able to accept and just be honest about what is without judging it harshly, but just being honest. The second, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit, is not getting too attached to our own story. So each one of us creates a story about what is. It's easy to start to so over-identify with that story that then we become it. So any practice we have, whether that's a breath practice or a mindfulness practice or movement, for me, movement is always a practice that helps me get out of my own way. So that ability to have a story but not be a part of that story, that's another level of acceptance. And I think Rich really brought that up if you listen to the video, where he grew up in a pretty under-resourced, poor situation, and easily the story could have been, I'm a victim of this. But through his mother and his grandmother, which you will hear about in the video, these are people he had in his life that basically said, let's be honest about what's happening, but we aren't the situation. We are not identified with the situation, and really became a source of empowerment for him. And then the third level of acceptance that the interview made me think about was acceptance really as a gateway to compassion. When we start to accept that we all have aspirations. Most people in general want to be healthy and well. We also all have burdens. So we are all suffering in our own way. And when we start to really accept that about each other, I think that just opens a door to a compassionate heart and the ability to honor our own path, to really respect each other in a whole new way and connect more deeply through that doorway of acceptance. So I have a quick question for you as we get into some stories today, if you'll stick it into chat, and that is, who or what in life has taught you most, as I've now defined acceptance, who or what in life has taught you most about what it means to accept? So for Rich, it was his mother and his grandmother. Who or what in life has taught you most? And if you will stick that really quickly into chat so we can just see who've been our influencers. And it could be a situation rather than a person. And by the way, it could be someone who is now still with us. It may be someone who is no longer with us. So stick that into chat. So mother, fathers, situation with cancer, Nelson Mandela, elders, grief. Yes, that's been a big learning one for me personally. Spiritual teachers, your own coma. That just commands a story right there with that one. My daughter, beautiful, beautiful. So keep putting these in, and Kendra, I will hand this back over to you. But I think that the power of acceptance cannot be underestimated. Our ability to really be grounded in that kind of truth. Thank you all.
Amazing. Thank you, Renee. Thanks for kicking that off and getting us interacting in the chat. Love to hear about how people are inspired and where we learn how to learn about acceptance. And we are overall very excited about the impact of storytelling and your interviews and other GWI developments too, such as the call for authentic and evidence-based stories in collaboration with the BBC Storyworks. You may have heard about that. And our Doctor is Inclusive series with Dr. Nicola Finley. So there's a theme all around storytelling. So now is the special time where we hear from you. I'm going to briefly share my screen. again. We hear from you, our Moonshot family. For the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to go around and hear your 1-minute wellness stories. So please raise your hand either using the Zoom feature, that's preferred, or if you can't find it, you can, gently wave, and I will call on you to share. And please be brief so we can get to as many stories as possible. So are you ready to share what got you hooked on wellness? So please let me know. Suzanne, you're the first one who found the button, so I'm going to call on you.
Thank you. Cancer, burnout, loss. All of these wake-up calls made me take a total leap of faith from my corporate career to starting my own business in 2009 called Motivated by Nature. I'm a passionate advocate about using science-backed research for our overall health and wellness, as well as that of the planet. I do this through my online monthly Wild About Nature challenges that people from all over the globe participate in, as well as speaking engagements and my award-winning children's book. My name is Suzanne, and I'm motivated by nature.
Amazing. Thank you, Suzanne. Nature's so important. Thanks for sharing your story. We appreciate it. Donnell? Welcome, Donnell.
Hi, Kendra. The question is, why am I passionate about wellness, right?
Yeah, what got you hooked?
What got me hooked?
Yes.
What got me hooked was I had finished taking psychotherapy and taking medication for depression. So in that recovery bit, in doing the work, that's where I fell in love with it and reconnected with my initial love of myself, and then reconnecting with my childhood self, and like bringing that into my adulthood. And so now that's like informing my work, because I'm a wellness coach and personal trainer, and I want to, make the connections for other people as well. So that's driving me. Thank you.
Thank you, Donnell. And it's great to make these connections here too. Thanks for sharing your story and being with us. Kathy Sparrow.
Hi there. I think my wellness journey began when as more of a seeing how other people around me did not take care of themselves. So I went the complete opposite and, strove to learn everything that I could about how to take better care of myself. And then as my children grew up and then had their own children, I realized there was a level of responsibility that I had to my own wellness so that I could role model for my grandchildren and also not become a burden, as my own mother had become in her later years because of her lack of wellness. So I think that responsibility to do all I can to take care of myself and also model that to my family is of the utmost. Yeah.
Very wise. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, good to have that forethought and build it into your family. That's great. You're the inspiration that we were talking about earlier. Valentina Sareda.
Hi. Sorry, it's a bit dark because I came outside. I'll just go a bit close to the light. So, hi, I'm Valentina. I'm Italian living in Dubai, and my wellness journey started. I'm an architect, so I was working for many years for companies and designing and building these spaces. I would go to a site and I would, you have to wear a mask because you smell the toxins of, what they're building during the construction process. And then you enter a brand new space and it smells, not natural, not nice. So that's when I started realizing, like, why are we building in this way? I'm sure, there is a better way. And that's when I started exploring ancient sciences, combining them with contemporary sciences. And now I try my best to design and build spaces that are healthy and natural. So as the other lady, sorry, I don't remember the name, but she mentioned like she is guided by nature. So it's exactly the same thing that I do in my work as an architect, just guided by nature.
Wonderful. Thanks, Valentina. Yeah, it's hard to call those things out, but it's great that you're finding your way back to a more healthy environment. And thanks for
Yes.
joining us from Dubai and giving us a weather report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Valentina. Julie Wren, welcome.
Hello, greetings from Belgium. So my story begins, unfortunately, when my mother passed away in 1996, and I drove myself into the ground to the point where my body actually made me stop by making me pass out in the middle of a meeting and lying face down on a meeting table. And it was at that point that I realized that things had to change. So I completely turned my life upside down, retrained, and I've been retraining ever since 1998 in different modalities. And each time it's been a journey of transformation. So it's one path, a next path, a next path. And I think the whole inspiration is that we get to do well-being our own way. Nobody gets to tell us how to do it. And that's where I feel that sometimes there's a lot of pressure on people to follow a model. And it's really all about us and what works for us and at what time it works for us. So I am committed to helping people do wellness their way.
Thank you, Julie. That's so smart, so wise. Wellness is not the same for everyone, which is it's a learning curve. Thank you for joining us. Violetta, hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello from Israel. I am Mexican originally, but I'm living actually in Israel. And my journey in wellness started very early when I am a medical doctor. I studied medicine, and it always was very striking for me that medical doctors were not healthy. We were not role models. My professors were smoking at the same time that they were teaching us that smoking is not good for health. So it was incongruent, and I really was passionate about how can we really treat our patients if we are not ourselves healthy. So I studied public health. I started a company in corporate wellness to help people, because 90% of diseases are preventable. And it seems very easy, but we have to start early in teaching people how to eat, how to live. And this, in my early student years, was something that nobody talk about. Medical doctors were about brains, about curing, but not about preventing so much like now. So it has been a great journey of discovering, of evolving, and now it's all over. And I think more people is on board, and I think this is going to change the face of what is healthcare and well-being. And I've been working, helping organizations and to thrive, through helping the employees to make better choices, to be more informed and motivated, and more resilient and more happy, because we spend most of our time in work, and it's a great place where we can start motivating people to engage in healthy behaviors. So this is my passion, and I think this is great that more and more medical doctors are on board with lifestyle medicine. We are starting to teach medical students since early years to inspire their patients through the example as role models, and through inspiration and skills, because in medical school, they didn't teach us how to do this. We spend very few hours in training in how to prevent disease. We spend most of the time in learning how to cure diseases. So specifically in developed countries, preventing is much more easy and less costly. And so it's so important that medical doctors, I'm a professor now at the Technion, the Institute of Technology in Israel, for first year medical students, where we run a behavioral change program, helping them to be healthier and helping them to inspire their patients since the beginning of the medical career. So I think this is changing, and most medical schools are doing this, and more medical doctors are engaging in this prevention. So this is going to change the face of healthcare, of course. I'm happy to share this with you.
Thanks, Violetta. Yes, it's interesting that in medical school, how they focus on that curative trauma drama, but we're learning to practice what we preach in prevention. So thanks for
Absolutely.
sharing. Yeah, definitely.
Thank
We're
you.
getting there. Thanks.
Yes.
Cornelia.
Thank you so much. I'm not going to turn on my video because I'm really looking scruffy listening to in the middle of my morning workout. So I was inspired to put up my hand to underline what Julie said about allowing people or encouraging people or holding the space for people to find their own path to the right balance of oneness. And for me, the first profound experience that comes to mind is being kind of a little girl, you know, a teenager who'd left home way too early and was taking on big challenges in education and work simultaneously. And there was a vacant field across from the apartment that I'd scarily rented, not, you know, all also brand new and fearful. And the vacant lot was full of old overgrowth, grasses and trees. And there was just such a profound experience of peace and revitalization whenever I go and, you know, jump over the fence and sit there hoping not to be seen. But so that has continued to be a big deal for me. And like so many, I've been through the classic corporate, then burnout, etc. But I do want to, you know, it's so, it just feels so important for me that not only do we share wellness, but we encourage people to, anyone, if there are clients, to trust their own inner guidance around what is the perfect, or learn to trust it. And so I won't take any more time, but that resonated when it was spoken. Thank you.
Thanks, Cornelia. Yes, so important to trust your intuition. So thank you for reminding us of that. Lovina? Hello.
Yes, you got the name right. Hi guys, I'm Lavina, I'm from India. So actually my story for wellness began when I was a 10-year-old girl, I think, because I practically grew up in the waiting room of hospitals, seeing how my mother with uncontrolled stress completely collapsed with multiple heart episodes, a stroke. And I actually grew up, understanding that if I have to do it, I don't want to see the inside of a hospital room. And I started educating myself to understand what is it. And I did a lot of research and study on cortisol, and especially in women, what happens when our hormones change in the perimenopause and how it can cause a lot of damage. So it has been a mission for me. My mom has completely reversed her life. She's 87. She's fit. She's outlived all her siblings, and she has a fantastic life. And each day that I look to her and I say, you know, Mom, this is a mission. I have to get people out there more aware of why prevention is definitely better than cure, because it drained the family of not only financial, but also all emotional resources. And if I can make a difference, I'd love to do that. So I'm a corporate well-being coach. I am a menopause coach, also a spa consultant. And this is the special area of work that I bring into all the work that I do. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Lavina. I love when the story has a happy ending. That always makes it so great. And I love hearing about family and that inspiration. So thank you for joining and your wellness work. And I think we have about time for one more. So I see Holly's hand is raised. So let's maybe close out with you.
Oh, thank you. So I'm a nurse. It's my third career. I've only been a nurse for about 5 years, 6 years. And I ended up, I'm actually, one of my jobs, I have 2 jobs, full-time jobs, is a school nurse. And would never, ever, ever have thought that my end of my life would be working with children. But what I decided once I started working as a nurse and seeing all the stuff in the hospital, that it does need to start earlier. So, and have a cut on their finger, you know, the first thing I do is say, go in go wash your hands, use soap, use warm water, because I want to teach them those little ways to take care of themselves so that 30 years from now, I don't see them in the hospital with cellulitis on their leg and it's oozing and all that kind of stuff. If they only would wash that cut when they're 40 years old, you know? Yeah, so for me, you know, if people have a conversation about school nurses that, you know, they're not as important as an ER nurse, you know, the trauma drama stuff. But you know what? If I can teach my little ones to do the right things for themselves. And the other opportunity that I took on this year, I asked my principal if I could teach a wellness class. It's a struggle. Oh my God, it's a struggle. But, you know, we're learning about social emotional stuff, and I take them out for walks once a week, and you know, we try to do some meditation and stuff just to introduce them to a lot of different things, because I never had that when I was a kid. And you know, they half the times are on their phones, you know, not paying attention, but you know, there's a few of them that are listening, and I'm greatly grateful for that. And who knows what will happen in 30 years with the kids, but we shall see. So thank you.
Thank you, Holly. I think they'll remember you. It's so important, and it's interesting to hear about the struggles with the younger, you know, kids, because we're trying to reach them too. It's almost like you're the perfect segue, because right now we're going to have a brief interlude about the children's wellness moonshot. I'm excited to introduce Christine Clinton, who is the chair of the GWI's Wellness for Children initiative, and she's here to speak about the children's calendar topic for February, which is Show Love. I'm also going to share my screen yet again to quickly show you our beautiful calendar and show love, and how showing love indeed lights up the brain. Thank you, Christine, for sending this photo. Over to you, Christine.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. So showing love, I shared, is the most important thing we can do, particularly from birth on. Showing love for ourselves, of course, as new moms, but showing love for our partners and for the babies that we give birth to. And we know, again, the science tells us that from the very beginning, it's so important to show love on a consistent basis for babies to learn good habits. And so we work with many people in the initiative. One of them is Deborah McNellis, who has a company called Neuro Nurturing, and she's got some great cards with ideas. Here's one. This is Love Your Baby. But these are great cards for parents to be able to use in the first year of life when it's a little overwhelming and you're tired and exhausted and drained and you haven't had your body to yourself for a long time, if you're nursing and getting over a C-section or whatever the case may be. But we want to just reiterate the importance of love and how our heart energy extends out so far, that we have so much love to give in that time. And the more we can show love, and for, of course, when the baby grows up and becomes a toddler, we want children to know there's lots of different ways to express love. You can express love, obviously the gift of touch. We encourage a lot of touch with our children in our preschool classes. We think it's a really good idea, even with COVID, and we know some parents are aghast at that, but we think it's a really good idea. Of course, with washed and sanitized hands. Shout out to Holly for the children in washing their hands. But we do that with a song and a rhyme and a rhythm, and then the children, it becomes a fun thing to do. But showing love, again, we talk about food. How can we show love? You can cook a meal for your loved one. We can cuddle a loved one. There's so many ways to do it. We just want you to know that take a minute every day to show love to yourself. Simple. That breath work that we do, that 4-7-8, breath work and hand on heart is so important. And then extend that out to your family or to those in your inner circle, that we actually have a lot of love. There's more heart energy than any other energy in the system of our systems, more than our brain and anywhere else. It extends out 3 feet in front of us. So if we can extend that heart energy out further and embrace as many as we can, because we all need a little bit of love. And I thought I would just share this. So all we need is love. So on that note, we can hand over. Thanks, Kendra.
Thanks, Christine. Very moving, and happy belated Valentine's Day for those of you who celebrated this week. Thank you so much. Very inspiring. I'm so glad we're really getting momentum for the Children's Moonshot calendar this year. Thank you, Christine. So now we're going to split up into some smaller discussion groups to build on what we learned from last month's moonstorming. There's clearly a need to reach underserved populations, and we want to collectively strategize how to reach these communities. So we are in your breakout rooms. You will have 10 minutes to discuss the following question: how can we and bring wellness to underserved populations? And just to, here's a list of communities you listed in the chat on our call last time. So think about how we can reach them, how we can better cater to their needs, how can we accomplish, wellness for all. So I'm just going to put the main question back on the screen. I'll also send it in the chat, so when you're in your breakout rooms, and just give me 1 second to divide everybody up. And we really hope you stay on. It'll only be 10 minutes because we're going to debrief after. And give me 1 moment. We're going to have about 5 breakout rooms with 7 people in each. I think that's a good size and balance. So are you ready? Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that was a fruitful conversation. We have a few minutes for a few people to share. So again, that raise hand function is killer, or you can, little wave, or also you can feel free to enter what you chatted about into the chat. But I'm glad to see that most people stayed on through the breakouts. This is very exciting. Elizabeth, would you like to share? Oh, you're on mute.
And I'm off mute. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Elizabeth. I hope I am. Anyway, hi. Well, one of the things is we were just getting the countdown with the breakout rooms, and we all decided that in our breakout, we wanted to continue to stay in touch because the conversation just started to get heated and more passionate about the ideas we were sharing, and could do possibly together, because we were really spread across the world in terms of representation from other countries. And one of the things that came up, and based on Renee's wonderful description of stories and how important it is not to be limited, as one of our groups said, by language and the words we use. And it's so true about how often we have to be reminded of that, because we sometimes look at immigrants being a group that need help. I'm an immigrant, and yet we all need help, but I just became an American yesterday. So I was very, very sensitive to this whole thing of, but I'm Canadian. So it's not as if it's a big difference. Actually, it is. But there were close to 1,000 of us, and that apparently happens every month in the Minneapolis area. And you just look around and you're going, wow, there's such a diversity of nationalities and of people. And I think that it was just so very exciting to actually apply Renee's wisdom and the lesson to the example of sometimes making assumptions in the stories we tell ourselves and to others about a broad group of so many of us now going around the world, that maybe that might not be just the first group that needs to have our education, and to find the champions. So it was a great experience in the breakout session today, very rich in the messages. So thank you for that. And we really do want to stay in touch. So Kendra, we're going to rely on you to.
Sure. Yes, you can shoot me an email, and we can in your little group, we could try to keep you together to keep the momentum.
Perfect.
Great. Yes, you know how to find me. Excellent. So we only have one time to hear from like 1 or 2 more people. Danelle, you just put your hand down. I was just going to call on you.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Well, I was only going to say what I wanted to say in my little group, but I didn't get a chance to. I was in the group with Elizabeth, and we did have someone mention where in her country they have support for new immigrants there. And then Elizabeth talked about, well, new immigrants look different. She is a new immigrant herself to the United States. And yes, it is important that we watch the language, assuming that people do want to integrate and do things that the way the majority does. That's important. Someone else mentioned the language, but also speaking for myself, I wish I had that a little bit. I know in Canada we have a citizenship like guidance where you can be like a big brother, or I forgot what it's called, but if you're new to the country, you get like a Canadian citizen would be assigned to your family, whatever. And I didn't get that, and I would prefer to see all the resources and as well be encouraged to keep the things that I came with from back home, as opposed to melting in, because a lot of the wellness stuff that I'm doing now is stuff that I was doing back home. And I would totally eliminate this process of joining in and then coming back out if I had just been met at the door like, here's what, so that's what I wanted to add.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Danelle. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And it's so interesting and new to hear about these immigrant stories and the language. So I'm so glad you were collaborating. Yes, please put your contact information in the chat too, so you can exchange and keep this conversation going after the Moonshot call. So if you didn't get a chance to debrief now, please, send it in the chat, because we have a few more things to get through in our very jam-packed agenda. So I'm sorry to keep going. I see your hand, Suzanne. I love your participation, but please send in the chat for now, because I am excited now to introduce our February Moonshot winner this month. So it is Violetta Levy, who we heard from. She's from Mexico and she's now based in Israel. She's the CEO of Pulso Consciente. And she shared that in order to become an agent of change for health and wellness, it's essential to have an accepting, inclusive, and multicultural perspective. And we couldn't agree more. This is a high priority for GWI and what we're meeting today and discussing. So Violetta will receive a 2022 Moonshot calendar. And Violetta, we'd like to hear from you for a minute about your wellness work.
Excellent. Well, first of all, thank you very much to the Global Wellness Institute for this honor and opportunity. And I am, as you said, the founder of Pulso Consciente, that is a corporate wellness company. We help organizations to thrive, to helping their employees to be more healthy, happier, resilient, and we have been evolving. I found this company since 2001, based in Mexico, and now that I'm based in Israel, I'm doing online training for resilience for companies and consultancies. But the most important thing in the leadership in this industry and in all industries is to, like you already said, that when we heard Renee, is to make an environment of acceptance. That knowing that we need everyone on board for a global problem, we need global answers. And for that to be accomplished, we need all the perspectives. Coming from our differences, from our diversity, everyone has a role to play. If we want to hear an amazing melody in a symphony, all the instruments are important. So in these multicultural environments that we're working online, because there's the pandemic shows that we have to reinvent ourselves. There is no boundaries anymore. I can teach in Colombia at the same time I'm making a workshop in Spain or in Canada. And then we need to address the needs and to adapt and to be more compassionate and more empathic to the differences. There is no place in this new era for segregating people because of their color of skin, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity or even religion. We all have a part to play. We are all part of human race. That is this amazing humanity, and we are on in this planet Earth. And if we want to the ship not to sink, we all have to work in the same direction. And I think there is no place anymore for old values and beliefs that don't work and that just elicit conflict. We need, as leaders, to be very aware, to make everybody feel that they matter, that their point of view matters, and to make them feel comfortable to saying their own opinions about or perspective and solutions, because that will enrich our view of a global solution for the problems that we're facing. So thank you very much, Susan, Ellis, and Nancy and Kendra for this honor and for being able to address this amazing audience. Thank you all.
Thanks, Violetta. You said it very succinctly: global problem, global solution. So that's what we're trying to do here. And congratulations on winning the prize this month and for joining us and for the kind words and joining us from Israel, which is where the 2022 Global Wellness Summit will be taking place. An hour from you, you said, which is very exciting.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to see you all. Welcome to Israel. It is a mosaic, a cultural mosaic. Something is multicultural environment, challenging multicultural environment is Israel. So welcome everybody, and I will be looking forward to meet all of you in the summit.
Wonderful. Thanks, Violetta. And I see the chat is very active, and also as a perfect segue, I heard we're talking about movement and how important that is to our well-being. So last but certainly not least, to close out our program is Lisa Fasulo, the founder and director for the Center for Transformative Movement. She's here to lead the Moonshot in Motion to unlock healthy, happy hips and send us all positive vibes. Over to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Kendra. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Lisa, and I always like to provide a teeny bit of context in the minutes we have. Movement meditation, especially freeform or ecstatic dance, as it's called, that we do, is a re-emerging ancient practice that's been seen around the world, across cultures and throughout time. And it's on the verge right now, on the cusp of a global revival, with more and more of us knowing that we need additional and effective ways to feel good. I'm a yoga teacher as well. Yoga is one way to come in and connect in meditation, and it's great to have that as a practice. A complementary practice to that, and kind of the next evolution of the mind-body connection, will see us over the next 5 to 10 years doing things that help let us connect outward by losing ourselves almost. So like to provide you with that education here each month, as well as giving you a personal experience so that you can incorporate it as a mode of self-care and be savvy about it when it gains more popularity over the next 5 to 10 years to help your clients and add it as a way to feel good. So that being said, let's stand up. Not the music yet, Kendra. Last time we started, I introduced, it's called Rock Around the Clock. It's a method that we use. And this is as if you had a clock around your hips, okay? So 12 o'clock would be in front of me, 6, 3, and 9. And the point is we want to hit all of those circles, all of those points on the circle. So I'm going to put this down. Something that we need to accept is, and by the way, accept comes from the root word that also means capability, emancipation, charisma, capacity. So our hips store all of this capacity, our primal, innate, feel-good capacity. And when we unleash it, which we don't do a lot, because I was saying, we want to start this by accepting that it's very understandable and natural for many of us in this culture, and believe me, in many parts of the world even, to feel a self-consciousness or even varying degrees of shame in moving our hips. It somehow seems suggestive. It's just a part of the body. So we're going to break right through that and feel what it's like to move our hips. So I'd like you to pretend, in addition to the clock, that you have a belt around you that was a light, so that when you if my hands are the light beam, when I go like this, I don't move, I just tilt my hips so they go tilt and my light beam goes up. And then I tilt my hips back and the light goes down. So we're going to be, it's like cat cow if you do yoga. So we're not really even moving our hips wildly. We're just giving a little